we all want to feel happy. Nobody also want to feel empty. But then there are days that this emptiness is just eating us up. And because this emptiness is there, we tend to lose focus of what our reality is supposed to be. Living effortlessly. Today I was asking Lakshman, what do you think it means to live an effortless life? He said, well, he gave me his own different definition of what it means to live an effortless life, a life according to, this, that. But the point here is to live an effortless life simply means living a life that is not filled with too much attachment. Our problem is, whatever it is we do, whatever life we live, however we live our life, we are very attached to things. We have all very, very attached. And because we are very attached to those things, at the same time also, we are attached to the result of those things. And because we are attached to the result of those things that we look for, we become morose. Every day it's like same thing, moving on. Everything is just the same. And because everything is just the same, we are just, we just rigmaroling, moving around. It's like we're moving around in cycles. Cycles of our own desire, cycles of our own thoughts, cycles of our own ambition, cycles of our own relationship. So many cycles, we just keep moving around these cycles. And because we keep moving around these cycles, we lose focus of what is real and what is not real. And because we lose focus of what is real and what is not real, life is difficult. It makes life difficult. Makes life very, very difficult. Sometimes it even makes it very, very unbearable. But we'll find ourselves being angry with people that we're not supposed to be angry with. We'll find ourselves breaking our head on so many circumstances and so many situations that we're not even supposed to. But we are just in that cycle. And because we are just in that cycle, it's very difficult. Kindly mute yourself, everybody. Kindly mute yourself. Being in that cycle is so difficult. Nobody wants to be in a cycle whereby they don't know what to do. That is why we are just always asking ourselves again and again and again and again. To live an effortless life does not mean that there should not be ego, but it simply means that even though the ego is there, there should be a balance. And that is where we lack. A lot of us, we lack that balance. How do we give our life a balance? How do I give my life balance? How do I give my life balance? How do I make my life in such a way that I am not controlled by the influence of the circumstances around me? Some people, when the circumstance around them is good, they are happy. When the circumstance around them is not good, they are very sad. That even that sadness, they take it home. They reflect it on their children. That sadness reflects on their children. And because the sadness reflects on their children, it's difficult for them. Life becomes difficult. But to live an effortless life simply means living a life without too much attachment to the activities that you're supposed to do. But just see that whatever you're doing is a duty. And because it is a duty, if you attach too much emotion to the duty you do, you are always bound to suffer. That is a fact. We are always bound to suffer. When we attach too much unnecessary emotions to everything, we will always suffer. And this is why we suffer. Once there was a monk that lived in the monastery, up high in the monastery. While this monk was there in this monastery, he was not talking to anybody. He wakes up, he does his things and everything. But then there was a girl that got in love with another boy. And getting in love with the other boy, they like each other. She and the other boy. And then she got pregnant. She hid the pregnancy from the village, from the people in the village. And then one day she could not hid the pregnancy anymore because now the baby is showing. And because the baby is showing, the villagers were querying her. Who is the one that is responsible for your child? Who impregnated you? The lady was dumbfounded. What's she going to say? Who's she going to talk? She's so afraid. She does not want to implicate her boyfriend. Because her boyfriend also is so afraid that what is the people going to say? So she said, it is the monk up above the hill. He is the one that impregnated me. Everybody in the village was upset. How can this monk do this kind of a thing? He said he's a monk, but look at what he's doing. He said he's a monk. How can he do this? The whole village stormed to the village, to the monk's house, and they shouted on him, "Hey, you impregnated this girl? How can you impregnate this girl? Take the child." They gave him the child. The monk only said one thing, so. He took the lady inside. She gave birth to her child. She left the monastery, went down. The baby was with the monk. So. After some time, some years, this lady was dying. And the boy had stayed in the monastery with the monk, was just there. Growing, the monk took care of the child, not complaining, just took care of the child. But the lady could not tolerate it anymore. The truth was fighting her every day. Every day the truth was fighting her. It's like it was swelling on her throat. The truth was swelling every day on her throat. And she called her parents and said, I have something to confess to you guys. Actually, this child that I gave birth to, the monk was not the one that impregnated me. The monk never knew anything about this child. The person that impregnated me is this person. And everybody was stumped to like, what? So you made us to accuse an innocent person to be responsible for your pregnancy? You humiliated him in the society? Made us not to even look at him anymore? He said, I'm very sorry. Out of fear, I said this. So everybody in the village all went to meet the monk and begged him. They knocked on the door. The monk came out. The boy was just there by his side. They said, we have come to beg you so that we can take the boy back. The monk only repeated one statement again. So. Okay. Okay. They took the child and that is it. But then the problem with us is that each and every one of us were always in this circumstance of this monk. Every one of us. But we get so carried away in the moment that we feel like we need to defend ourselves. You see, this monk was in a very much precarious circumstance whereby for any individual that does not have the kind of knowledge he has, that does not see life the way he sees life, it becomes an impetus for them to fight. It becomes an impetus for them to stand so very strong and want to defend themselves. But if you just look at it like, okay. You see, right now, so many of you, within the beginning of this week till now, you've encountered situations that have stressed you. So many of you within the beginning of the week till now, you've encountered circumstances that looks like, oh my God, like, overwhelming. But if you can just look at it like, okay, this, hello, overwhelming. It's because what? It's just an emotion. And what happens? It goes away. It passes away. But the problem with us is that we always want to hold tightly onto those emotions that we feel. We want to hold tightly to those emotions because we are feeling like that emotion is the essence of life. But that emotion is just like, okay. But then how do we reach this level of seeing it just as it is? Because it is just what it is. By not getting too attached to anything we do. Unnecessary attachment to things makes us disappointed when we don't receive the reward or the result that is expected from that attachment. Unnecessary attachment to things. And I tell you, each and every one of us, we have unnecessary attachment to so many things of our life. So many, unnecessary attachment we have to so many things. So many things. And because we have this unnecessary attachment to so many things, our life is filled with too much strife. We live life, but it's filled with too much stress. There is no grace about how we live our life. You must understand, karma is there, but there is also grace. Karma influences each and every one of us. But then there is also grace to be able to understand that, okay, it is my karma. I'm not supposed to carry it too much over my head and start killing myself about it. Living life effortlessly simply means learning to detach yourself from the result of the action that you're doing. But that is very difficult. It is the expectation of the result of every action that we do that makes us always sad, always unhappy, always stressed. If people don't tell you enough thank you, you become disturbed. Why is not telling me thank you? If people don't appreciate you enough for what you feel you're doing, why is they not appreciating me enough? Why? But imagine if you just look at it like, okay. So life becomes so joyful. So joyful. You see, every day we carry in our head a little monster. Everyone is carrying a little monster in their head. Yeah. And that little monster is eating them up every day. The question you should ask yourself is, what little monster are you carrying in your head? Even right now, at this minute, at this second, there's a little monster that you're carrying in your head. And that little monster influences your emotion, influences, how you look at life, influences everything. Everything. All right, I'm open for questions now. Please ask me your questions, one by one.